Hi everybody, I'm Diana of Sew in Common. Welcome to my channel where we create beautiful patchwork with the help of our embroidery machine. And today's video is all about our Starlight Starbright Quilt Along week 4. So just sit back, relax a little bit, and I'm going to take you through a review of our first 3 weeks, and we'll talk about week 4, and we've got a little demo video showing you how to create part of this week's block because it's it's got more pieces to it than the segment blocks we've made in the past. So let's get started. So we are on week 4, and I know that some of you feel like you're a little bit behind. Please don't worry about that. This is not a race. Next week is going to be kind of a bye week. It's going to be a free week. We're not going to have a video for it. We're not going to do, it's just going to be a time for you to maybe catch up or do a little bit more. And then week 6 video is going to be all about the layout of the quilt. And of course, we've got some prizes that we're going to give away at the end of the year for anyone who has their top completed. And I'll talk about that more in a little bit. So why don't we look over here on my design board and take a look at the first 3 weeks. So this was last week. This was week 3, the Sawtooth Star. It has the dark, the light, and the medium in it. So your star points were your medium color. The 2 blocks this way were your dark, and the 2 blocks this way were your light. Pretty easy block to make. And I wanted this quilt along to be blocks that were more simple to make because I know a lot of you are new to patchwork in the hoop. So that's fine. I think this is still an absolutely beautiful block, and stars are the block that get a lot of people started in quilting. So that was week 3, just last week. And if we flip it up, actually, let's see, can I get that flipped up? There we go. That was week 1. I put these in the wrong order, so sorry. That's week 1, the Ohio Star, where your half square triangles in the center create your diamond in a square pattern, and your medium was the center, your lights were out here, and then your dark colors made your star points in that block. And each week we have needed to make 4 blocks so far. And then the week 2 block, which is one of my absolute favorites, is the inspired star block. Lots of color in this block, lots of the dark and the medium in here. And the light color basically is just making up your background. Your whole star was your medium and dark colors. So the inspired star, that was week number 2. And if you noticed something about all of these blocks, they are all 16 segments. Each part is a segment. That's what we call a segment block. Those are the pieces we're creating with our embroidery machine. And then with the built-in guideline that gets created, we're quickly sewing them up on our sewing machine for these larger blocks because there's no hoop that's going to make a 15-inch finished block for us. Unfortunately, someday maybe. All you really need for this particular method is your 5x7 hoop. And even these first 3 could have been made in a 4x4 hoop because they finished at 3 3/4 inches. So if you had a 4-inch, you could still do all 3 of those blocks. But the 16 segments made up those blocks. That is different than our week 4 block. Now, there's a couple of things about week 4 that I need to tell you. And the biggest one is that I told you originally to download our Inspired Star, which I believe was our February block of the month. All of these are free design sets on our website. I'll tell you more about that at the end in case you're still wanting to do the quilt along. But when I designed the quilt, I designed the crossover star a little bit differently. And what I realized when I was making mine is that the way I created the original crossover star, the modified half square triangle, which is part of it, I didn't like it. I needed to add a couple of extra stops in it for you in case you wanted to change thread or anything like that in future. So in this week's design set, I'm going to show you how to get to that here in a second. You're going to need to when you download the info sheet, you're also going to get 2 digital files for the square and the modified half square triangle. And those are the files you use to make this week's modified half square or crossover star block. And you want to see it? There it is. Isn't it pretty? So in the original crossover star, it had half square triangles out here, bigger ones. But because I wanted, when I was creating the quilt, I wanted them to be easier for beginners, I substituted those half square triangles with just the solid squares. And it makes it a little bit quicker too, because it's super easy to piece those squares in the hoop. So that's this week's block, the crossover star. And the reason it's called crossover is you can see, if you look at my dark pieces, that part of the star is crossing over or on top of the yellow star underneath. And that is made really simply by making a modified half square triangle. And we talked about that back in the beginning of the year. But the modified half square triangle is super easy. Half of it is 2 triangles, and then the other half is just one piece, like a regular half square triangle. So in fact, there are several modified half square triangles. There's the single modified, a double modified. There's a patchwork modified, and that's a hint because we have a little holiday piece coming up for our Wednesday workshop starting in a couple of more weeks for November, and it's going to be more for holiday look, and we're going to be using what I call a patchwork half square triangle, which is a kind of a triple modified half square triangle. So it's even more modified than what we see here. This is the simplest way to modify your half square triangle. And here in a little bit, I've got a little video clip for you, but this is how that block finishes up. Okay, now when you piece this, the first piece you do is going to be your medium, then your light, and then you do your dark and you flip it and finish it. You'll see that in the video, okay? And this is just one square that I haven't cut out of my stabilizer yet and washed the stabilizer away. Now, in this week's pattern set, you're going to get the digital file for the modified and the digital file for the square. I didn't want you, I know you've got the square in other free files and stuff. I didn't want you to go look for them. So I just put them both together for you. Easy peasy. One download, you've got everything you need. You're also going to get your layout to show you, you know, what direction the modifieds go in. It shows you the dark, the medium, and the light here and all of that. But I also did a piecing template for you. Where I've numbered everything. So it tells you about your fabric. Fabric 1 is your dark. Fabric 2 is your medium. Fabric 3 is your light. And then each part of the square shows you what number goes where. Some of you were apparently not being able to figure that out from just this. So I'm giving you the piecing layout as well. And I hope that is more helpful for you. And these 2 pieces and those files are in this week's information sheet. And again, it's free. You don't have to buy this. It's free. Everything, all the patterns and stuff for the Quilt Along this year is free. And so if you go to your block 4 on your information sheet where you did your fabric prep, this information for cutting it out is for this star. It's not for the star back in February. And that's because when I did this crossover star, I didn't remember, because I'm a little goofy, that back in February, I had done a more involved crossover star for you. So when you cut from that page, you're going to get everything you need for this. And as with all the weeks, you're going to make 4 of them. But let's look. In this one, we don't have 16 segments, right? We only have 9. Ooh, that's going to go a little bit quicker. Even though the modified is made, you've got 3 pieces here, only making 9 of them, this block will go quicker for you for sure. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 segment pieces, 5 squares, and 4 modified half square triangles. Super easy to do. And you'll have your 2 layout templates. They'll be in color when they show up on your screen. You can print them in color if you have a color printer. Otherwise, they're going to print out in black and white, grayscale. But even with this one, because I've given you this little list here, even if this were in black and white, you would still know all the number 1s are your dark fabric, all the number 2s are your medium fabric, and all the number 3s are your light fabric. So whether you print it in black and white or in color won't make a difference in the piecing one because you've got all that information on there, okay? So let's go ahead now and head over and see the demonstration video clip, because what I'm showing you in that video is how to piece this square. You all know how to do the solid square, and that's super easy. In fact, I would just sit down 5 times 4. You're going to be making 20 of these squares for all 4. I would just sit down with your 20 squares and get them done. That will take you no time at all. And then I would sit down and start doing my modifieds, because that's going to take you a little bit more time. So you might need to make, you know, half of them one day, half of them are next, or however you organize and plan your quilting time. I'm not going to tell you how to do that. That's entirely up to you. But in the demonstration, I'm going to show you how to do this modified half square triangle. We did it in a video a while ago, but I want you to see it in this video for when you're doing the quilt along. You don't have to go looking for the other videos. Everything you need will be in this particular video. And this is super simple. You start out, now it's done slightly differently because normally we have a full boundary box that gets stitched out on our stabilizer. We don't with this one. We have half a boundary box and then this line. And then we do this upper half here. And then we attach and do the dark half, the lower half. And then you will stitch out your guideline box. All of that's in the video. So why don't we go ahead and head on over there to that film clip. And when we're done, we'll come back and we'll wrap up with final words, and I will tell you where to get it, and I will show you what you're looking for on the website for this week's packet so that you get the right one. So let's go take a look at that video clip. Okay, folks, here we are at my embroidery machine, and we're going to piece out one of the modified half square triangles because it gets pieced just a little bit differently. It's still a flip and stitch and all, but there's more pieces. So I just thought we would go through that. And then the solid squares, you've done those, no problem. So with this one, you're going to start out with not a full boundary box. Let's just, here we go. Let's go ahead and stitch out. The first part that you're going to stitch out is actually going to be the modified half square triangle part. So you're going to want your light and your medium fabric, and then the other half of that modified half square triangle will be your dark fabric. And I'm doing that in black, so you should be able to see it. And I've got my glue stick ready. So that gives me the boundary for that modified part of the half square triangle. And I stitched that directly onto my stabilizer. Now, step 2 is also stitched directly onto the stabilizer because what it's going to do is give you the split so you can see where the 2 pieces of fabric go for that half square triangle, that modified part. Alrighty. pretty easy. Now I'm just going to put a little bit of glue stick right there in that upper triangle. And we're going to start with our medium fabric. And this is laid with the point coming towards the middle. That's how you're going to lay this out. And the pieces you want to make sure that you have over the line are these two right here, just a little bit. And then this is your outer boundary. It can have more out there so you can trim later. And now the third step is to stitch that piece down to the stabilizer. Excuse me, please. I am got a little bit of a frog in my throat this evening. Now the second piece will be our light fabric. And as you see here, the first piece was laid down right side up. Now with the second piece, you're going to lay it right side down, and you're going to lay it down on top of your, so that it matches up, just like this, right side down, and you're going to lay it right on top of it so it covers it. That way when it flips, it's going to flip perfectly. I know that the tendency is to look at this and to lay it down like this and then flip it, but that won't work. That won't cover your whole piece. So just lay it right side down with your fabric just like that, so it covers the upper. And then this is step 4. And I'm just going to put a little bit of glue stick right there in that triangle. Now I'm going to remove this just a little bit, bring it out a little bit, and then I'm going to flip this down. And I'll press it out with my fingers. I'll use my seam roller just to give it a good little press down. Come back here. I unthreaded my machine. Give me just a second to rethread that. Alrighty, now what this is going to do in step 5 is it's going to tack this piece of fabric down. There we go. And now basically half of the modified half square triangle is complete. Pretty easy, right? Now the last part is going to be to do this second half. Let's again bring our hoop out a little bit. That's going to be your dark fabric, and it's going to be a larger piece as you've cut it according to the instructions. And you're going to lay it down right on top of the other 2 pieces so it covers it completely. Right side down. Then we will stitch that down. And I've got my glue stick. I'm just going to run a little in that area right there. Now I'm going to flip this over. Press it down. I could use my seam roller if I want. Make sure I didn't unthread my needle. There we go. And this is step 7. It will tack down the other half of this modified half square triangle. And now I have my tape ready because I'm going to need to tape over this upper corner for the final guideline stitching that it will do for us. Just going to lay that there. I always use a bigger piece and kind of tape it up right there. That way I don't have to keep tearing out new pieces, and I did it again. Okay, and I only need to cover that corner because it won't catch in this direction or up there. So now we'll just do, this creates the border line for you for trimming and final stitching at the sewing machine. And as soon as this finishes this side, we're done with the modified half square triangle. And you'll be making 4 of these for each one of the 4 blocks you make. So technically, 4 times 4 is 16. You'll have 16 of these to make. Just like that. There we go. Now we can go back over to our other camera. Okay, everybody. So see, making the modified half square triangle is not difficult. There isn't really anything difficult about patchwork in the hoop. It's so easy to do. And for those of you that are new to quilting, or you've been a long time quilter, but you have some problems with your hands and stuff like that, this is the method for you. If you are a traditional quilter and you're like, I don't really want to mess with all of that for my full quilts, you don't have to. You can still do your traditional quilting, but this might be the method you want to do for smaller pieces, wall hangings and table toppers and table runners and pillows and things like that. You might want to make those things on your embroidery machine. And so regardless of what size of patchwork in the hoop you want to do, we love having you here at Sew in Common. Alrighty, so that was the video on this. Super easy, right? Not difficult at all, but I wanted you to see it, especially those of you that have never done the modified, that didn't do the modified with us back earlier in the year. So now I'm going to share my screen with you because I want to show you what to look for the packet for this time. So let me just add my screen in here. So here we are at sewincommon.com, and I will put that up on that link up here on the screen in a moment. So here you are at the website. You can either go into the shop right here, but if you just scroll down, this week's piece is right here. This is the one that says Starlight Starbright Quilt Along Crossover Star Design Set and Templates. It's a free download. It's your information sheet for this week. That's the one you want to grab. It looks a little different from the others because, like, this is the one from week 2, because I wanted you to make sure that you were able to know that you were getting the design set. Those are your digital files and those 2 template sheets that I showed you. Okie doke. Alrighty, so that's easy to find, but I wanted to show you that. And some of you kind of had asked, can you kind of show us where those things are on the website? So glad to do that for you right there. That's where that was at. And let me just put the website link up here, the address, www.sewincommon.com. Super easy to find us there. If you want to share your work by showing us pictures and things, you can do that at our Facebook page, Sew in Common, as well. We love to see those things from you all the time. Whenever you want to share, we love it. If you have questions about the crossover star for this week, please leave those questions and comments on this video so that when I answer them, I can answer them for everybody, because if you have the question, so does somebody else probably. So that is week 4. You're going to be making 4 beautiful crossover stars. And then the 4 stars that we are doing for this quilt will be done. And then next week, again, week 5, is a free week. No video, nothing you have to do. It's just kind of a catch up, or maybe just a relaxation. Maybe you are caught up, but you're like, you know what? I really need a week off from the quilt along. I need to do some other things because I know we're starting to roll into the holiday seasons. That's okay. That's fine. So we built that in for us. And then week 6 will be a video with the layout of the quilt so that we can get started on putting our blocks together into the layout. We will also talk about in that 6th week the layout, and we'll talk about backing fabric, and we'll talk about binding as well in that video. Okay, so that's everything you need for week 4. Now I just want to say a big, huge thank you. Because we have topped 50,000 subscribers here at Sew in Common, and I just can't tell you. I know I keep saying I'm blown away and but you guys don't know how truly blown away it is that we have over 50,000 subscribers in less than a year. Now, for some people, that might not be much. I'm I'm so thrilled at that. I can't tell you. I didn't think we'd be at 10,000 subscribers in a year. So to be over 50,000 just is incredible. So mwah, love you all. Thank you so much. Please like the videos, share the videos with your friends and other people, because the more people we have doing Patchwork in the Hoop with us, the more beautiful quilts will be out there in the world, right? And please, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. We'd love to have you as part of the Sew in Common family, because there's always room for more people here with us. And until next time, everybody, go make your blocks, go do your quilts, and of course, sew life beautiful. Bye, everybody.